Thank you, Acting President. I rise to speak on the 2018-19 budget papers. I, like so many Victorians, awaited the release of the state budget for 2018 and 19. We wanted to see what the priorities of this government are. In an election year, we keenly awaited some indication of what this government's vision for Victoria is. The role of a government is to put in place the conditions that enable the people it governs to live good lives now and into the future. It must tackle the big issues on the horizon, look to the future as well as managing the present. It should put the public interest above that of its corporate mates. It should care for all its people, from the elderly to the young, and all those experiencing hard times. Budgets are a key means by which governments demonstrate where their priorities lie and what their vision for Victorians is. And this is where the Labor government has fallen down. This election year budget from Labor was solely lacking in vision. It was a budget built around roads and privatisation, while ignoring growing inequality, our housing affordability crisis and climate change. Victoria is a great place to live, but our communities are under increasing pressure. Poor planning is putting the things we love about our communities under strain, with an undue influence from vested interests. We want our government to invest in things that make our communities livable. Trains, trams and buses that get us where we need to go when we need to get there. Good public healthcare and education, having a roof over our head and a clean and healthy environment. But instead of moving us towards 100% renewable energy and fixing our public transport system, this Labor government is giving billions to big corporations who want to build toll roads and prop up the coal industry while selling off important assets for the short-term gain. In contrast, the Greens' plan will make our communities more livable, connected by world-class public transport and powered by clean, renewable energy. The biggest disappointment of this year's budget is the focus on roads to the detriment of properly planned public transport. Going into this year's election, we see Labor and the Liberal opposition engaging in a battle of the toll roads. Will it be the East-West link, already defeated by the community, or the North-East link that will prevail in this battle for the least useful way to spend billions of public funds? Well, the Greens will do all we can to ensure that it will be neither. Both these road projects, along with the Westgate Tunnel, are unnecessary, will increase congestion and lock in car dependence for decades to come. Roads like these make a city unlivable. No other major city in the world is building new toll roads like these. The forward-looking cities around the globe are reducing car usage and pollution and investing in public transport. The Greens have a plan for public transport to provide people with the means to get where they need to go when they need to get there. We have released the first part of our plan to extend the Melbourne Metro. The government's failure to fund the Metro beyond the current project is short-sighted. We will increase services, cut overcrowding and deliver a reliable, high-capacity metro system for commuters from the outer suburbs to the inner city. We need our cities to be planned properly, to create neighbourhoods where people have opportunities to connect with each other and travel within them safely and sustainably. This means letting communities, not property developers, design our neighbourhoods. This means standing up to those big property developers, not taking donations from them one day and making a decision that makes them super profits the next day. This means investing in safer cycling and footpaths, not just building highways that literally divide our communities. This means supporting and funding the work our local councils do. They do such important work caring for and bringing communities together every single day. By making toll roads its priority, this government has put corporations before communities and are consigning Victorians to a future of congestion. Another key issue faced by Victorians that the government has neglected is energy. Our energy market contains structural problems that are causing energy prices to rise and place pressure on Victorian families. Labor's response is to pay people $50 to visit a website. This policy seems to have been stolen from the Compare the Meerkats. Remember them? Premier Andrew's response to our energy costs seems to borrow more from a clever ad company's attempt to sell its product rather than fixing the very system that is inflating energy prices. Labor has capitulated on energy. The budget does nothing to address the underlying problem created by privatising the energy system and insufficient regulation. Instead of promoting the failure that is our privatised energy system, Labor should be joining with the Greens in thinking through how to reform the energy system to put people and the environment front and centre. We need a plan to bring key parts of the energy system back into public hands and people, not profit, come first. One of the biggest failures in this budget was the absence of positive policies to address global warming and protect our environment. Labor and the opposition still don't get it. The world is in a climate crisis. We must act now to transition away from fossil fuels to a 100% renewable energy future. Coal and gas must be kept in the ground if future generations are to inhabit a livable planet. Instead of using their previous policies as a foundation for more action, Labor thinks they've done enough. They think they have ticked the climate box, no more to be done, but nothing could be further from the truth. A government committed to climate action would not waste $53 million on a dodgy brown coal project, giving false hope to the community in the Latrobe Valley. Now is the time to ramp up the transition to renewable energy and away from brown coal and gas. We can get to 100% renewable energy, create thousands of jobs and lower energy prices. The government also failed once again to secure the Great Forest National Park. This is such a lost opportunity for job creation, securing Victoria's water supply, protecting endangered species and biodiversity, and ensuring carbon storage. Instead, Labor is going to spend over $30 million to find more ways to log our beautiful forests. Our oceans, parks and waterways are choked with plastic. While the rest of the world takes action, the Victorian government is focusing investment to burn plastic. Victorians know we can do so much better than this, and there's huge support for Greens policies focused on reducing waste, building our local plastic recycling industry, and holding corporations to account for the waste they produce. Victoria is in the midst of a housing crisis. There are close to 40,000 applications for the public housing waiting list. Rents are out of control, and young people have given up hope of being able to own their own homes. Housing is fundamental to ensuring livable communities. Everyone has a right to have a roof over their head. It is the responsibility of government to ensure that right is fulfilled. There is no new money in this year's budget to relieve housing pressure. Despite surpluses in the billions, the government has only committed $185 million over 4 years to fix public housing. It is almost unbelievable that a Labor government would give up on public housing the way this government is, except that it fits with their privatisation agenda. It is now the Labor way to sell public housing to private developers. What the government cannot answer is, once the land is given up, where does the government build housing again? Or is the answer that Labor no longer sees a role for government in the provision of public housing? While housing has been ignored, prisons are getting a windfall. Spending over $700 million on new prison and prison upgrades is an admission of failure. Prison populations grow when government policies to provide adequate housing, access to education, jobs, and strong communities fail. Building more prisons does nothing to reduce crime, and in fact may reduce prospects for rehabilitation. We can improve community safety and reduce crime by investing more in crime prevention, rehabilitation, and prisoner post-release services. But the Victorian government has clearly decided it knows better than the experts. It doesn't, and vulnerable kids and families will suffer as a result. The government is very proud of its surpluses, $9 billion over the next 4 years that is not going to be spent on the community. These are surpluses that are propped up by one-off privatisations. It's disappointing to see a Labor government continue with Jeff Kennett's plan to sell off our state to the highest bidder. Thinking long-term always seems difficult for governments, but given the experience of Victoria as the most privatised state in the nation and the problems we face with privatised transport and privatised energy, privatised education, privatised prisons, you would think they would heed the lessons of the past. Public assets should stay in public hands. The Greens will continue to oppose the sale of the land titles operations, disability support homes and public housing. These privatisations are a disaster waiting to happen. The government is giving up sensitive and significant data to private companies. in the privatisation of functions of the Land Title Office. Why will this privatisation be any different to any other where costs go up and service levels decline? The selling off of disability support homes is particularly troubling. There can be no guarantee that people will be properly cared for, and the government is washing their hands of responsibility. The Greens will always stand up for public services and keeping public assets in public hands for the ongoing benefits of all Victorians. The Labor government is also proud it isn't raising taxes or introducing new ones. We don't think that this is something to be proud of when there remains clear areas in need of funding. Taxation is what enables a society to strive for fairness and equality. It was disappointing that, for example, the budget did not include a point of consumption tax for online gambling, a way to make revenue from companies peddling harm to our community, revenue that could be redirected into positive programs for the community. There were some good things in the budget too. Long overdue funding to schools and free TAFE courses are welcome, but are only making up for a decade of neglect and poor past policy. The Greens also secured over $100 million from the government for some of our priorities, including 130 park rangers to better look after our precious environment, unlocking $22 million for safer cycling and better active transport infrastructure, $5 million to upgrades to Casey Fields, including facilities for women's sport, $12 million to upgrade the South Yarra Station, a campaign my colleague in the other place, Sam Hibbins, and the local council have campaigned long and hard for, $37 million for legal assistance to people facing barriers to justice, and funding to build Docklands Primary School. The Greens believe Victoria can do better. We have public transport that works. We can have a transition to 100% renewable energy, address climate change, and have reliable, affordable energy. We can ensure everyone has a home. We can protect our precious forests and waterways, clean air and landscapes. We can have clan-based treaties processed with funding that ensures equal footing for Aboriginal communities in the treaty process. And we can stop diverting billions of dollars to toll road companies and keep public assets in public hands for the benefit of all Victorians. The Greens are looking forward to the next few months as we lay out our plans for Victoria and a cleaner, fairer society in harmony with the natural world, powered by renewable energy. If you want a Victoria that invests in the future, that looks after people and the environment, the choice is now clear. Thank you.